about it like I know something. This is our kitchen area. This is a mobile camp. It's a surprisingly common feature around the countryside, as all noble houses were itinerant. This is one of just a dozen houses that my husband and I stay at, so we are moving constantly, and usually we will stay in a monastery in a large house somewhere on our route. Most of our followers, I have 100 people in my retinue, he has 200, would have to have camped like this anywhere they could find. So this mobile kitchen would have been a regular feature of our lives. And often they'd be producing our food as well if the house we were staying at was not able to provide a sufficiently high standard of cooking. Today, we have a pot heating up over the fire with a little bit of water in it to take our rabbit pottage that we're going to have shortly. It's going to take quite some time to cook, slow boiling over the fire. Most people's food, most days of the week, is boiled like this. It keeps all the goodness in, and it means you can leave it for hours. You don't have to be constantly supervising it. If you're to roast something, you lose all the fat onto the fire. The fat's of very great nutritional value, so none of us want to lose that. So every house will have a couple of pots. We're doing quite well. We have a large brass pot over the fire. We also have a slightly smaller iron one as well. The great thing about the iron pot is, of course, that when you cook in it, a little bit of the iron from the pot gets into your food. So it helps prevent anemia when we're cooking regularly on that. You've always got those trace amounts of iron, whatever you're cooking. Cooking is over an open fire. We don't have another kind of fire to cook over. This is it. So in the middle of your house, you'd have had a little fire like this with some sort of hanging arrangement over the top to hang your pots. Ours has the two posts either side. This is a portable one. We don't have a ceiling to hang it from. And that spit hangs from, so we can alter the height of the pot over the fire. So you can have it on a high flame or lower down to get a little bit hotter right next to it. The pottage itself, lots of different ingredients. We've got carrots here. These aren't the carrots we'd have recognised 700 years ago. These are bright orange. Orange carrots, like this, are really recent. These are only first developed about 250 years ago. We'd have had white carrots, purple carrots. They would have looked a lot like, they'd taste just the same. They're just white or purple. But nobody makes those anymore, and that's because no one buys them, because if you saw those on your shop shelves, you'd think they're weird, wouldn't you? They would be an oddity, and you might have them as a little treat, or think novelty, but we all think of carrots now as orange. They weren't. We've got leeks and onions, some flavour, and the rabbit's being jointed at the moment. They're being gutted and cleaned, but we are keeping the entrails of the rabbits to use in other things later. They make a very flavour stuffing. Heart, liver, lungs. All very nutritious, all very good for us. We will be holding on to these. And this meal is being prepared in accordance with the medical and dietary requirements of our Lord. We believe that health isn't just about taking medicine when you don't feel well. Health is about being well all the time. So if you are a melancholy person, if you feel sad and lethargic more often to your medical conditions, that what you eat will really dramatically affect your health. But it was an everyday part of medieval life, and your doctor was as likely to prescribe a diet for you as anything else. Doctors are expensive. We had a few. They're called physicians. They wouldn't dream of cutting into you like a surgeon. That's very lowly work indeed. They're well qualified university men. So they will look at your horoscope, they'll check your urine, they'll check your pulse, and they'll see what's likely to be going wrong for you. And from that they'll prescribe fortified wines, foods, herbs that are like to help you. If you have to go a bit further, if there's a more severe injury, there's lots of other things we can do as well. A herb garden would be a very important part of a castle like this. It would probably be tucked away in a neat corner, so it wouldn't be in the way of all the business that would be going on in here. As 700 years ago, this castle wouldn't have been open and green as we see it now. We've had blacksmiths, stables, bakeries, kitchens, all around this place. We can see behind you there's some markings on the ground. That's the old guild hall. The major meetings of the city of Cardiff, that would be held in here as well. But that was only one of many buildings. So we'd have to keep a herb garden nice and neat tucked away. And as the lady of the household, when I was here, it was my job to make sure that my Castellan and his lady were keeping the larder well stocked with the remedies to keep us all healthy when we call by. A very important part of this was honey. We don't have any here today, it's very expensive, I'm keeping that locked away. To have honey, of course, you must have bees, you need a good year to get lots of honey. But it was, although people weren't aware, as we are now, have just become, of the antiseptic benefits of honey, it was still a very important part of the remedies. If my lord was injured, I'd very likely mix him up a solution of honey and white wine to bathe the wound with. But we now know there's alcohol in the white wine, there's antiseptic properties in the honey. It is a very effective way of doing it. A little honey and water would be good for a sore throat as well, or a toothache. Toothaches are common. It's why a lot of the food that you find higher up, like the rabbit here, is all being carefully boned and jointed. It's all being made nice and soft. Poorer people would have unsifted flour for their bread, which might still have part of the grit from the mill wheel in it. But up in the castle there, we're going to have some nice, finely sifted white bread with no grit, no danger of damaging your teeth. We don't have much sugar in our diet, so cavities aren't a problem. But without brushing and without dentists, we still do get tooth problems, which are caused by the toothworm, which gets through the water into your food and then into your tooth and makes itself a cavity. If you've got a deep enough cavity, you will see the nerve of the tooth in the cavity, but that led people to believe it was a worm which invaded your teeth. And so you might go to your surgeon, who would, at a very hot fire, heat up a fine needle to push into the tooth to kill the toothworm. This, of course, kills the nerve, we now know, which means you can't feel toothache anymore. So it's very effective treatment, even if people did have very effective beliefs, even if they don't actually follow what we now believe to be scientific facts. We believe that it's bad smells that spread disease. So we use lots of fine scented herbs to keep everything smelling good. We wash as often as we can. You'll notice we're all wearing fine linens underneath our clothes to keep washed and keep scented with herbs, to keep everything smelling good. And of course we now know there's no basis in the belief that bad smells spread disease, except of course that if something smells bad, it's probably rotting, probably covered in germs, and so it'd probably be bad for us. So even though it's not scientifically based, it does work. And lots of their beliefs were like this. They believed that the heart was about emotion, nothing to do with circulation. Your blood is actually moved up and down your body by the tides. As it is in the sea, so it is in your body. So that's how your circulation works. It makes treating wounds very difficult if you're not believing in all your blood flow coming from the heart. But you do still understand there's a reason for it moving. People have always had to have ways of explaining things. And this is my best way of explaining the herbs and the kitchen that you see in front of you. If anybody wants to ask any questions, please do, and I'll do my very best to make up a good answer. Thank you very much.